Hello everybody, this is Eugene Nick Dinsmore again from Eugene Behind the Scenes, the fastest growing YouTube channel on YouTube today. I think in my head it's the fastest growing channel. I'm here today to talk about the May 3rd, 2004 edition of Monday Night Raw, the Showdown in the Desert from Phoenix, Arizona. The previous week on Raw, the match was set up between Rob Conway and Eugene for 2 weeks. This episode of Raw, the very next week, Rob has a match with the Hurricane, and Rob easily pins Hurricane, easily wins the match, and then cuts the promo afterwards. Next week, Eugene, this is what you're in for. This is what you are in for. This is what you're in store for. And then Rob said, Eugene's going to get a special beating. Wow, what is that supposed to mean? That was segment 5 of Raw. As Raw progressed into segment 10 was the infamous or famous, I don't know, does infamous mean more famous or less famous? But I don't know. The Eugene training video with William Regal. Now, if I remember correctly, Regal and I filmed this, I feel like it was the day before. I feel like it was Sunday, but it was in Connecticut. And we went to the WWE headquarters in Connecticut. When the headquarters were in Connecticut, they had 2 actual sites. One was the big building with the WWE on it, or WWF in the old days that everybody used to see. But they also had an off-location site that had a ring. I assume this ring was up all the time. I believe, actually, I did a tryout in that same building in like 1999, At that tryout was Dr. Tom Pritchard, who was the head coach of the WWE at the time. And when Eugene had his training video that aired on May the 3rd, Dr. Tom Pritchard was in the house again. Now I'd like to take a little side moment here and say that Dr. Tom Pritchard is one of the coolest guys that I met in the business. So Nightmare Danny Davis and Dr. Tom are really good friends. When Dr. Tom would come to Louisville, he would stay at Danny's house. And as Dr. Tom used to say, I don't like to rib, and I don't like to be ribbed. So of course, Danny's wife Julie and Dr. Tom began having a little back and forth with some ribs. And apparently Dr. Tom was coming, had the bed made. She went in, Julie went in and took some peanut butter. Literally, these are her sheets, her bed, peanut butter, and smeared it all at the foot of the sheets on both sides. Dr. Tom comes to get in bed that night, sticks his feet in, right in the peanut butter. I think she told me like she heard him screaming, whatever. I always thought that was really funny. But regardless, Eugene's in his training session with William Regal. And people often ask me, like, why was the coat inside out? Why was the knee pad on top of your boot, not on top of your knees? In my head, Eugene had seen wrestling, but he really couldn't quite get it 100% straight. He didn't know what to do, and Regal had to tell him to pull up the knee pad. Coat was on kind of funny, just to give a little something that Eugene was different than everybody else. Can't quite put up his coat the right way, but he knew the wrestling. Segment starts. Regal's going to give him a workout, and we think that Regal is just going to rip poor little Eugene in half because Regal's known to be a tough wrestler. He used to wrestle people from the crowd, like legitimate. You have to legitimately defend yourself from people in the crowd when he was back in England. Regal gives Eugene an arm drag, and he said, arm drag. So, of course, Eugene being the historian and trivia major of wrestling, he says, Ricky Steamboat did arm drags.
The first thing I'm going to teach you, arm drag.
Ricky Steamboat did arm drag.
Ricky Steamboat, yes.
I don't remember if Brian Gerwick wrote that line or if I just came up with it. I feel like maybe Gerwick wrote that line because, again, Brian Gerwick associated with Eugene and he could write for Eugene. But as much as the other stuff came up with, he gave us like an outline. Do a couple moves. We did the moves. Do a little chain wrestling. So we did that. And then they started the video montage. Now, being a kid of the 80s, every great movie, every great superstar had the video montage. And there's Eugene to the what would become the Eugene theme song, doing all this stuff to Regal and airplane spinning him and all this stuff. And the song, I found this out from Howard Finkel. Eugene's theme song was kind of taken off of the song. I'm going to read it because I can't remember all of it. Side note on Eugene's theme song. It was produced by WWE and I liked it. Howard Finkel told me that Eugene's theme music was WWE's version of Obsession by Animotion. And that was I remember that because Animotion, Obsession was the opening to Saturday Night's Main Event when I was a kid. And you see the Hulkster doing the pecs. Dun, 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 dun. And if you listen to Eugene's theme song, you can hear it underneath there, and it's a good beat. I like it. So we're doing the video montage, and I'm giving Regal the airplane spin. Now, I don't think Regal was yet cleared from the doctor. Regal, I think maybe a year or 2 years, somewhere in there, wrestled in India, and he got in a parasite. Eating something, got in a parasite, which then encased in his heart. And Regal almost died. He almost died from this. And I don't know how many people really know that. And his first time back was to be with Eugene. First time really in the ring, I believe, was this training session. And I'm giving him the airplane spin, and I don't think he was cleared. I'm not sure he was ready to do that, because I remember finally he just goes, put me down. And it wasn't like the way he would tell me something, if it's like, go do this, go do that. It was like almost a hint of desperation in his voice. So I put him down, and I never again saw him like selling like that. Like I was a little worried. I think I might have even said, yeah, I think I did. I said at that point, okay, no more wrestling. And I wouldn't go on wrestling him because he didn't look good. And it looked like he just might have gotten winded or maybe something wrong with the heart. But irregardless, we went on with the segment. Regal was fine after that. Put him in the Regal stretch, which I wanted to use as a finish, but didn't end up using it. Was Cena using it then? No, Cena used it after. That was his STFU or whatever he called it. Similar to the Regal stretch. Might be the same. He just locked here. Regal did around the arm. And then at the end of the training segment, video montage, that's when you see Dr. Tom cheering on Eugene. Yeah. And then there was a shot of Eugene looking at Regal. And then I've got that Triple H water bottle and squirt water. I can only assume that Brian Gerwick put that in there as some type of foreshadowing that Triple H was going to be Eugene's favorite character, but I don't know. Now, and that segment, a lot of people remember that segment, and that was a really good one. That was really awesome. And I think, again, in the evolution of the Eugene character, that was another step that endeared the people to Eugene. Like, this was an entertaining segment. And all of a sudden they see, well, this guy can do wrestling? Because the whole gist of the segment was William Regal was going to try to maybe put a little roughing on Eugene just to see if he could handle it. And Eugene turns around and does everything flawlessly, perfectly. And then at the end, Regal's then taken aback. Oh my gosh, I didn't know this guy could do this. This guy's actually got talent. And I remember I said, am I ready? And Regal says, you're ready, Master Eugene. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready.
Oh, Master Eugene. Oh, I think you're ready. I'm ready.
So again, we filmed this segment on the Sunday before, so that would have been May 2nd, 2004. The Raw was May 3rd in Phoenix. And I remember we got done fairly early, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, something. So Regal and I went to eat. We're sitting there eating, and he called the office and said, if this is our segment for Raw, do we have to come to Raw? I would have never called and asked that. I think we had tickets, airline to go from Connecticut to Phoenix, and then we would have probably not done anything because our segment was already filmed. And the office said, no, you guys can go home. So then they booked our travel that night to go home. And I thought that was something that was really super cool of the office, but of Regal to ask. I never would have thought to ask. I just would have taken the travel and gone there. Probably sat there and got home, the next on Tuesday. But that was one thing I remember, and that's kind of like when Regal and I started to become friends, because that might have been the first time that we traveled together. And then after that, we started to travel more often, and to Jerry ended up entering the vehicle once he came back from Japan. No, I apologize. He came back, his wife had a baby, and that's why he was off. And then when he came back, Eugene was already established. So as the evolution of the character of Eugene leading into his first match against Rob Conway, we've seen the build, we've seen the interaction, we've seen the make the match, we've seen Eugene's training video, and next week on Monday Night Raw, you're gonna see Eugene's debut. Oh my gosh, people were ever so much closer and totally emotionally investing in this Eugene character. We've already done a video here on Eugene Behind the Scenes about my first match against Rob Conway. So if you want to check out that video, I might be able to put it right here. I can try. If not, it'll be linked somewhere in the description. But for Eugene, Nick Dinsmore, and from Eugene Behind the Scenes, I want to tell everybody thank you, and please like and subscribe and leave some comments. Ask me some questions.